This show has always had an artistic side to it, in my opinion. I believe there's also one on Zio's show. Yes, what do you know about NCIS? Do you know anything else true about them besides what a member said? This American actor and former football player is Thomas Mark Harmon. He is best known for his part as Leroy Jethro Gibbs on NCIS. NCIS had 19 seasons that captivated fans all over the world with its intense plots, memorable characters, and unwavering loyalty to the United States. But emotions rise behind the scenes because of the famous actor, and an incident on the NCIS set with a co-star caused her to leave. Join us as we look into the facts and stories that haven't been told about the NCIS set straight from Mark Harmon. Mark Harmon's early life. Mark Harmon doesn't belong in the world of fame. The star is a big name in Hollywood, but he likes to stay out of the spotlight in California. The TV star has become a mystery, even though she has been in big hits and become an NCIS figure. She is known for being very humble and private. On September 2nd, 1951, Thomas Mark Harmon kissed his son. He is an actor from the United States and used to play football. He was born in Burbank, California, and was the third child of 3. Tom Harmon, a football player who won the Heisman Trophy, and Elise Knox, an actress, model, and artist, were his parents. Harmon had 2 older sisters. Kristen Nelson was an actress and painter who died and was divorced from the late singer Rick Nelson. Kelly Harmon was an actress and model who was married to John DeLorean. His maternal grandparents came to the United States from Austria. He is most well known for his part as Leroy Jethro Gibbs on NCIS. Since the early 1970s, he has played many TV characters, such as Dr. Robert Caldwell on St. Elsewhere, Detective Dickie Cobb on Reasonable Doubts, and Dr. Jack McNeil on Chicago Hope. He was also in films like Chasing Liberty, Summer School, Stephen A., King's Prince of Bel-Air, Wyatt Earp, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and Freaky Friday. Harmon earned an associate's degree at Pierce College in Los Angeles over the course of 2 years after finishing from Harvard-Westlake School in 1970. Harmon got offers from big college football schools after his second season at Pierce in 1971. He chose UCLA over Oklahoma, even though the Sooners had finished second in the country the previous year. He played quarterback for the UCLA Bruins in 1972 and 1973 after moving to the University of California, Los Angeles. His UCLA team shocked everyone by beating the 2-time defending national champion Nebraska Cornhuskers in his first game. The Bruins were 18-point underdogs at home against the one Huskers, but Efren Hera's late field goal gave them the win 2-0-1-7. In his final year, Harmon won the National Football Foundation Award for all-round excellence. UCLA had a 1-7-5 record in his 2 years as a quarterback in Coach Pepper Rogers' wishbone offense. Harmon was the starting quarterback for 2 years at UCLA, but the NFL did not pick him in the 1974 draft. Harmon got his BA in marketing from UCLA with honors in 1974. He was in the first group of people to be inducted into the Pierce College Athletic Hall of Fame in 2010. What do you do after college? Let's go. Career and how you look. Harmon thought about going into advertising or law after college. He started out in business as a director of merchandise, but he quickly changed his mind and decided to become an actor. A lot of his work was spent playing police officers and doctors. One of his first national TV appearances that wasn't as an athlete was in a commercial for Kellogg's Product 19 cereals with his father, Tom Harmon, who has been the company's TV spokesperson for a long time. His first acting job was in an episode of Ozzy's Girls, thanks to Ozzy and Harriet Nelson, who were married to his sister Kristen. After that, in the middle of 1975, she had guest roles in episodes of Adam 12, Policewoman, and Emergency. He was also in 905 Wild, a backdoor pilot episode for a show about 2 Lehigh County producers. Producer and creator Jack Webb was in charge of both shows and later cast him in Harmon and Sam, a short-lived 1978 show about an LAPD officer and his dog partner. Harmon had already been nominated for an Emmy for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a miniseries or movie for his role as Robert Dunlap in the TV movie Eleanor and Franklin the White House Years, as Union Cavalry Officer Captain John McIntosh, a good man. Harmon made guest appearances on TV shows like Laverne and Shirley, Del Vecchio, The Hardy Boys, and Nancy Drew Mysteries from the middle to the end of the 1970s. He had small parts in the films Comes a Horseman 1978 and Beyond the Poseidon Adventure. Then he got a co-starring role on the action show 240 Robert in 1979. Just like Deputy Dwayne Thibodeau. The show was about the jobs of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department Emergency Services detail, but it only lasted a few episodes. In 1980, Harmon got a regular part on the primetime soap series Flamingo Road. He played Fielding Carlisle, the character's husband, on the show. The show was canceled after 2 seasons, even though it got good numbers at first. On the 1983 TV show St. Elsewhere, Harmon was in the show for almost 3 seasons before he quit in early 1986 because his character got HIV from having sex without protection, This was one of the first times that a major regular TV character got the virus. 2 years later, it would be mentioned that the character had died off screen of AIDS. Around the middle of the 1980s, Harmon also became the face of Coors regular beer and started appearing in TV ads for the brand. Harmon had a lot of other great years in his career in 1986. People magazine called him the sexiest man alive in January. After leaving St. Elsewhere in February, he played the major role in the TV movie Prince of Bel-Air, which also starred Kirstie Alley and The Deliberate Stranger. He played the real-life serial killer Ted Bundy in the movie. As his career was taking off, he had a part in the 1986 movie Let's Get Harry and played the top role in the 1987 comedy Summer School, which starred Kirstie Alley and Patrick Le Bourteau, who would later go on to play roles on JAG and NCIS. Harmon made a short return to episodic TV in 1987 with a guest role on the show Moonlighting, for 4 shows as Sybil's love interest Sam Crawford. After that, he was in the 1987 TV movie After the Promise. He was in 2 films with Jodie Foster in 1988 Stealing Home, which starred Jodie Foster and Sean Connery, and The Presidio, which starred Meg Ryan and Connery. After his comedy Worth Winning in 1989, he went back to TV and acted in a number of films. What was the next part Harmon played? If you're interested, keep watching. The next regular TV part Harmon would have would be as Chicago police detective Dickie Cobb on the NBC show Reasonable Doubts for 2 seasons. In 1993, he was in 1 episode of the CBS comedy Western Hearts of the West as a rodeo clown, sharing the role with Sean Murray, who would later play him on NCIS. Harmon played the lead role in the 1995 ABC show Charlie Grace. Pretending to be a private investigator, the show only ran for 1 season. He then went back to group medical shows on Chicago Hope, where he played Doctor. Jack McNeil from 1996 to 2000. In 1 episode of the 1998 miniseries From the Earth to the Moon, he played astronaut Wally Schirra. Do you know the part that made Harmon famous? He has been praised and won many awards. Let's look into this more. Stardom on NCIS. Mark Harmon is a well-known actor who plays the lead part of Leroy Jethro Gibbs on NCIS and others in many other Hollywood hits. Let's learn more about NCIS first, though. National Geographic's NCIS is an American police procedural TV show and the first in the NCIS media brand. The show is about a made-up group of special agents from the Naval Criminal Investigative Service. It has parts of both military drama and police procedural, as well as comedy. The idea and characters were first shown in 2 episodes of the CBS show JAG Season 8. Episodes 20 and 21 Ice Queen and Meltdown the Show started on CBS on September 23, 2003 as a spin-off from JAG. It's now in its 21st full season and is being shown on the USA Network during the week. Presidents Donald P. Bellisario and Don McGill created and oversee the production of the most popular NCIS shows. Currently airing in the United States during prime time, NCIS is the 3rd longest-running written live-action show after Law, Order, and Special Victims Unit. It's the 7th longest-running scripted television show in the United States. At first, the show was called Navy NCIS, which stands for Naval Criminal Investigative Service. It was shortened to NCIS in the end. In Season 6, there was a 2-part story that led to NCIS Los Angeles, a separate show. NCIS New Orleans is a 2nd show that grew out of an episode in the 11th season that was split into 2 parts. Ratings were not very good in the beginning, barely making it into the top 30 for the first 2 seasons. However, the 3rd season showed improvement and regularly ranked in the top 20. An online Harris poll in 2011 found that NCIS was America's favorite TV show. At the end of its 10th season, it was the most watched network show in the United States during the 2012 to 2013 season. Gunsmoke was the previous record holder for the longest-running scripted weeknight TV show on CBS. NCIS beat that record. There was news on January 5, 2024, that the prequel show NCIS Origins would run during the 2024 to 2025 seasons. A second spin-off, NCIS Tony and Ziva, was revealed on February 28, 2024, as a show that would only be shown on Paramount. NCIS was picked up for a 22nd season on April 9, 2024. In May 2002, Harmon played Secret Service agent Simon Donovan on The West Wing for a 4-episode story arc. For this part, he was nominated for a 2nd Emmy Award, 25 years after his first one. Donald P. Bellisario, who created JAG and NCIS, saw him on The West Wing and had Harmon play NCIS agent Leroy Jethro Gibbs in 2 episodes of JAG in April 2003. At that point in time, the actor was 52 years old and well-known in Hollywood. He had no idea how famous the show would become, though. Mark became a celebrity on NCIS over the course of 18 years. In an interview with Larry King in 2014, the actor said that the show's long-term success was due to the cast and team. He said, I think we've worked hard. It hasn't always been as successful as it is now, and I think a lot of people are to blame for that. How people are treated on this show is important to me, and I think the cast and team deserve praise. Harmon played Gibbs on the CBS program NCIS starting in September. The role earned him 6 nominations for the People's Choice Awards, including a win for Best TV Crime Drama Actor in 2017. He met up with 3 co-stars from Chicago Hope Again while he was on the show Rocky Carroll, Lauren Holly, and Jane Brooke. He has also been a producer and senior producer since 2008. Harmon's Gibbs left the show as a regular in the 4th episode of the 19th season. The events of the season end had set the stage for this. Harmon was very good at working with his co-stars on NCIS, and many of them became close friends. But before we talk about their problems, let's take a quick look at why Mark Harmon, who played the lead part of Leroy Jethro Gibbs on NCIS, quit. Come back to find out. Getting away from NCIS? Since the first season of NCIS in 2003, Mark Harmon has played Leroy Jethro Gibbs, the show's lead agent. But why did Mark Harmon quit season 19 of NCIS? Harmon stayed on as an executive producer even though Gibbs wasn't on the show, but his character wasn't in any of the scenes either. NCIS has been on CBS longer than any other written primetime show, following the actions and lives of the federal officials whose job it is to look into serious military crimes, stop terrorism, and keep Navy and Marine Corps secrets safe. Magnum P.I., Quantum Leap, Airwolf, and NCIS were all created by Don McGill and the late great creator-producer Donald P. Bellisario. Over the show's long history, many important cast members have left, including original characters like Tony, Abby, Kate, and even Kate's replacement of Ziva. But Harmon's exit was the most powerful. CBS is used to changing the main actors on their shows. That's right, NCIS kept going without Agent Gibbs. Gary Cole took over as team head. Harmon left the show early in season 19, so CBS had plenty of time to see if it could go on without him. What was the ending of Gibbs' last NCIS story? When Gibbs left NCIS, his last case had been in the works for a long time. In Harmon's second-to-last episode, the team found out that the killings they thought were done by a serial killer were actually done by Jason Wiles, a paid killer. When Gibbs got back to his car, he was with hitman Gary Cole. He had just left FBI agent Alden Parker Gary Cole. The Slayer blew himself up, but not before telling Gibbs who paid him and admitting that he was the one who wrecked Gibbs' boat. Gibbs went to Naktok, Alaska, as part of his research. There, he found Sonova Industries, whose planned copper mining project would have been terrible for the area. When Gibbs and the NCIS team learned that Sonia Eberhardt Valerie Pettiford, CEO of Sonova, hired the hitman to kill anyone who might talk about how bad the mine would be for the environment. They worked quickly to find proof that she was responsible for killing the reporter who was investigating the case. In season 18 of NCIS, Mark Harmon was ready to move on. He worked out a small role for himself at the end of season 19 to make sure the show would be renewed. As a producer who has worked on the series for a long time, he cares about its future and quits early at the beginning of a season instead of at the end of one. NCIS had the best chance of being revived. NCIS had time to show that it could keep people watching even without Harmon. Because Agent Parker helped Gibbs and got fired for it, he was able to find work at NCIS. So, based on his talk, what was the main reason he left? Mark Harmon talked about his decision to leave in an interview. I was very tired for a long time. As part of the job, they had to stay home with their young family, not going around as much and making films. We worked 22 hours on the first day, which was different from what I thought it would be like. But that kind of day happened a lot in the first 4 years. Instead of dying in a heroic blaze of glory, Gibbs wanted to retire and live a quiet life. The door is still open for him to come back in the future. In a statement released the night of Harmon's show, showrunner Steve Binder said, "Mark is still an important part of the show as an executive producer and dear friend. Being true to our characters has always been our North Star. That truth has guided the stories we write and the places our characters go. You should never give up on Leroy Jethro Gibbs, as longtime fans of the show may have learned over the years. What story did Mark Harmon tell after he left? Come back to find out. Start feuds. It's hard to think how long NCIS would have gone on without Gibbs, who is like a charismatic father figure. Mark Harmon is thought to be the show's heart and soul. That doesn't mean the star didn't face some issues while working on the show. It looks like Mark Harmon is still fighting with his ex-co-star, even though the new spin-off show NCIS Europe was just announced. On the other hand, NCIS is one of the longest-running TV shows ever. The military police drama has been on for over 450 episodes, spanning 3 decades. There is bound to be a fight or two on set when that much history is packed into one TV show. In fact, Harmon was said to be the cause of many fights behind the scenes by some of his former co-stars. No matter which side you're on in these fights, it's always fun to see the drama that happened while your favorite show was being filmed. Watch to find out about the stories that former NCIS stars share if you're interested in all the problems. Let's watch NCIS. A well-known fight between Mark Harmon and Michael Weatherly is still going on. Someone who knows Harmon and Weatherly from when they worked together says that Harmon still doesn't like the way Weatherly acts. Someone told Closer that Michael is a terrible pain in the behind for them. He always makes trouble. Harmon and Michael haven't lived together in years, but Harmon still thinks of Michael as loose cannon employees who work together often have bad feelings for each other. Whether it's because of a mistake or a real, nasty fight, most beefs end relationships for good. Fans liked that Harmon and Weatherly's fight on NCIS ever got really bad. He told the Futon Critic in 2007 that he had done some things wrong on the NCIS set. Weatherly believes that Harmon and he had issues because they had various views on life. Weatherly said, "Mark Harmon and I were on different poles. I was in Antarctica, and he was at the North Pole. He was looking down at me and thinking, what's wrong with your polarity? What's taking place? The water goes down the drain the wrong way for me." He didn't understand at first because I was there. When Weatherly saw how different he was from his co-star, he felt sad. Someone from CNN or one of those shows asked me what the best part of being in the pilot was. I said getting a rubber gun and a fake ID. "That's your CNN answer," Harm asked. "I felt like a kid who had too many Count Chocula bowls." Do you know how much Michael's being Weatherly has cost? She quit NCIS in 2016 to become a star on the Court Soap Bowl. CBS picked up the show for a second season after the first one did well and worked hard to make sure it would keep going. The plan is for Eliza Dushku to become a full-time cast member after the 3 episodes she was hired for. As soon as Dushku said that Weatherly had been rude to her, her deal with the show was quickly terminated. Dushku was fired and later given a $9.50 payment after a long investigation. In a message to the New York Times, Weatherly said he was sorry for what he did. "While we were taping our show, I made jokes about lines in the script that weren't funny," Weatherly said. "When Eliza told me she didn't like the way I used language and tried to be funny, I felt terrible that I had hurt her feelings and apologized right away. Further thought has helped me realize that what I said wasn't funny or suitable. I'm sorry for the pain this caused Eliza and regret it." Donald P. Belisario says it's hard to think why the show's creator and story mastermind would quit in the middle of filming. People will always remember Belisario's effect on the show, but he left in 2007. It had been said for a long time that the creator was leaving because of the show stars' requests, but it was later proven to be true. When Belisario brought chaos to the show, Harmon didn't like it, and their relationship with the producer got tense. Don McGill, who helped make NCIS, wrote an article about the show for The Hollywood Reporter. He called the conflict classic Hollywood creative differences. Mark had another famous fight on NCIS. This time it was with Polly Parrott. What do you think caused Parrott to leave NCIS? Check back to find out. The procedural style of NCIS is well known, but the ensemble's chemistry may be the best thing about it. The MCRT's lineup has changed a few times over the years, but the friendship between Gibbs and Abby might have been one of the best ones. Sadly, things were not said to be going well behind the scenes until Parrott left. To make a long story short, she said that Mark Harmon scared her after she met his dog. In 2024, CBS officials said that the problem had been fixed for a long time, and that they would even be willing to bring her back. However, Parrott's last word on the subject showed that she stuck to her decision to leave, saying that she would never go back to NCIS because she didn't want to work with Harmon. In 2019, when she was busy with her short-lived show Broke, she said this: "Even so, there is still hope that she will come back, especially since Abby was mentioned in the Ducky tribute episode of NCIS Season 21. What did Harmon have to deal with? Having personal problems." Mark Harmon is very busy. He used to be an athlete before he became a famous actor, so sports and health have always been a part of his life. The former NCIS star doesn't do many interviews, but he has talked about how much he loves working out in the past. He said that after hurting his shoulder, he became really interested in Pilates. Speaking to Men's Journal, the father of 2 said, "It completely kicks my ass," which means he really liked the workout. "Because I hurt my shoulder, Pilates was a good choice for me. That's what the physical therapist I saw was all about. These machines will kick your ass," he went on. "After college, I was a big runner. Every week I used to do 60 to 70 mile weeks. Right now I really wish I had some of that back. It's twice as hard to use the machine for Pilates." This is what he said about why he didn't use Instagram or Twitter before. When Mark quit as Leroy Gibbs on NCIS in Season 19, fans were very sad. "That's who we are, we didn't go anywhere. Plenty. It's not my thing to use Twitter or Facebook." Our kids aren't either. Even though Pam and I both make a living in this business, there's still something that doesn't feel right. A lot of NCIS fans always want to know when Gibbs will come back to the show. An extra piece on the season 19 DVD, which came out almost a year after he left, talks about the reason he left the show. He got together with his friends to talk about what his role meant to him and how he thought the show dealt with his story. He said that the chance to work on new and hard ideas was what kept him coming back to the show season after season. He might not have thought that was true after almost 20 years on the show. How Mark dates and falls in love. Mark fell in love with Mork and Mindy actress Pam Dawber in 1986. Back in November, the star told people that a friend they both had was going to set them up on a group date. But he wanted to be more direct, so he set up the date himself. I asked if I could call. Can I get a phone number to call it? The number I got didn't work when I called it. It was like, and so I did. We don't have to all go out. I began to write in a message. Let's go get coffee instead after that. She looked around and picked up. That night we went out together, and we've been together ever since. Mark and Pam got married in 1987, which was almost a year after they met. Now they have 2 kids, whose names are Sean and Ty. They live a quiet life together in California. They've been married for 36 years now. They tell Liz a lot about being together. Mark rarely talks about his family in interviews, but he does talk about Pam from time to time. People heard Mark say, "We laugh, you gotta laugh, and you gotta laugh, and you gotta talk and communicate." He said there isn't a magic way to make a marriage work. That's the fun part. Should we talk about it? No, you might find the right one by chance. There are many things we have in common, but we are also very different. Mark likes to switch up the rings on his wedding band when he's not working. It's one of several rings he said in 2019, "When I'm not shooting, I like to make sure I have something on my ring finger because I'm proud to be married and proud of who I'm married to." I'm really proud of her. Mark is very brave, just like the person he works with on NCIS. The star also risked everything in 1996 to save a teenager from a burning car. The 16-year-old boy who was driving could get out of the car, but Colin Specht, who was riding with him, could not. Mark did something right away when he saw the crash near his Brentwood house. He broke the car windows with a knife and pulled Colin inside to safety. A spokesman for the Los Alamos Fire Department, Brian Humphrey, said years later a very grateful Colin talked about the incident in an interview with CBS and said he would not be alive if Mark hadn't saved him. Mark has been very humble about everything, which is great. He said in 2013, "I won't take credit for it because if the car explodes and I'm there next to the car, then you're talking about 2 young boys who don't have a father." Before he quit NCIS, Mark got married and had 19 children. As an executive director, he has stayed close to the show's family. Of course, he's done more than just act. Ghosts of Honolulu, a Japanese spy, a Japanese-American spy hunter, and The Untold Story of Pearl Harbor is his first historical nonfiction book. It came out not long ago. Last year, someone asked him about his job and the project, and he said, "I didn't retire when he thought about his new job." He also said, "I've always thought you can learn from history." Things keep happening over and over. The book and NCIs are also connected in some way. These agents are really a different breed, he said about the Naval Criminal Investigative Service. With this story, the idea for what is now NCIS was first born. I hope this story teaches you something new. No one knew about their important work. What do you think about Mark Harmon leaving NCIS? Tell us what you think in the box below. Please follow the link and click the like button. Before you leave, please click on the movie that's on your screen.